The show was fucking killer, man. The show was intense. The crowd reaction was something we didn't expect to be sincere, but it was very rewarding. It was very rewarding for us, and yeah, we felt the vibes. I mean, from the crowd, we saw the crowd really animated, and it was fucking great. I think that the crowd reacted absolutely superbly in terms, yeah, I mean, they pretty much perceived the music. I think that they perceived the music, and they somehow, especially during the more mid-tempo tracks, I mean, fell into a trance. It was great. It was great. Trance-like. This trance for us is to talk with probably an inner force that leads us to what we have named the black void, a place of absolute neutrality where no preoccupations or no ballast, no frailties exist. So this trance is the place, the desired place for us, where evil is exalted and good is exalted. I mean, Johan Edland from Tiamat had once said, pure as evil. I mean, we are about purity of feelings, purity of essence, and this is very important for us. So the black void deals with going to that plane where the newfound self is born, where no attachments to the established morals exist anymore. That is what the black void is. That is what trance is. Pretty common stuff, as we have described in our lyrics. Our main goal is to develop towards that direction, to become something that deserves to the human potential, to strive towards that direction, and be fully developed as persons, as individuals.
Do you think that you have achieved that?
This is a big discussion. I mean, the strive could be seen by some people as a futile cause, but I think that there are rewards, there are pains, there is struggle, there are sacrifices involved, but there are rewards, and the rewards are greater than the pains and the suffering and the sacrifices. So we have lost some things, but we have gained some other things. So there's that much needed equilibrium. We have found our equilibrium pretty much as persons, and I'm sure that we can feed the fire, and we can get inspiration by the so-called demons, kenademonia in Greek. So our demonia can feed us for more time, probably. Yeah. I think that it would be totally, exuberant, and probably we are not vain persons. I mean, we don't think that we have achieved the utmost experience, the apex of the development, but we are heading towards that point.
What is this demon that you talk about? Like,
those demons that I'm talking about, I mean, those demons exist in every person. You must exercise them, not exercise them. And the fact that every person is born as a totally neutral existence, not being poisoned by the plague of the upbringing, civilization, and status quo, society, religion, all those things. And those demons exist in every person. It's nothing like, the Christian demons or the demons that the Bible is talking about or that the Christian religion is talking about. It's something like another self. It's a self that enables you to perceive things 100% clearly. That's what I'm talking about.
What are your thoughts about the religion and how is your art
connected
to it?
Well, religion is the quintessence of herd mentality. Religion is enslavement, is slavery, and religion will never let anyone think in an individualistic way. That's what I think. Religion has kept humanity in shackles for ages. So religion is nothing of any use. I mean, it's not useful to anyone. And we are totally opposed to doctrines and religious doctrines in terms of, religion, something that's blind faith, in terms of not being able to think. So religion is something that's it's absolutely adverse to what we are talking about.
So has something happened where you where religion imposed a perspective on you?
Probably. When I was very young, everybody in Greece gets baptized, no matter what. So the mystery of baptism, where a very, very young, an infant soul is getting crucified and baptized and adorned with that stigma of being a Christian, no matter what the person thinks. We are unable to think at that age, aren't we? So I guess that would be a first example. But from a very, very, very young age, I developed a very critical view against what could be called as, established theories, and religion is one of them.
Yeah, and how does it influence your art? Have you been actively opposing the religion?
Yes, through our art. Is this not active enough? In terms of what? What else? Doing something, radical could be stupid, or is, in our view, quite stupid. Like burning churches, like in the 90s some people did. It's something symbolic, but in the long term, it's something that, doesn't let someone who has a potential to fulfill the potential. Look at those persons who burned those churches or did something totally radical. They had to spend some years in jail. So what's the point, actually? Striving through our art has been paramount and imperative for us for almost 20 years.
And has the religion establishment noticed any of that?
Yeah, well, probably. There are some, especially in the early 90s, there were some people, some overtly religious people in Greece that were protesting against the black metal movement because of some incidents, but well, I think that we are a global metal band and not limited in our tiny little Greek reality. So, church, yes, church has taken notice, no matter what. But church is so powerful that, of course, needs to be fought. And, well, we haven't seen any actions from their side. It's nothing like, you know, the Methodist Church in America, or things that happened in Russia with the Belfagor guys. It's nothing like this in Greece.
And what is the main absolute goal of your art? Like, why do you do music?
Darkness. Finding the absolute darkness. As I have already explained, our absolute goal is to find the place of darkness, absolute, and absolute neutrality. I mean, we have already said some things during the praying for absolution days and darkness impenetrable days. It's finding a place of absolute equilibrium through darkness, where no ballast and shackles exist any longer. And this is our goal, to free ourselves and actually help any other person who might need so to free themselves from the shackles of herd mentality and limited thinking, I guess. And darkness is a nice place. I mean, going to that place, which we call the blackest void or absolute neutral point, is a nice place. It leaves you totally calm and in peace with yourself in a total equilibrium. That's what we're striving for.
Why did you start? Like, what was the the starting point of trying to find this darkness?
Well, back in the day, there wasn't any conscious effort to reach darkness or trying to do any serious work towards a personal development or enlightenment, if you say so. Back in the day, it was, you know, just trying to do something, being totally inspired by the scene. Mind you, we started back in 1998, so it's almost 20 years back. So back in the day, I was 17, and there was no conscious effort to do anything else than blaspheme or trying to pay homage to bands like Mayhem, Massershammer, Blasphemy, Beherit, Rodenkreis, Necromantia, you name it. And we were so inspired by those bands but the bigger picture was that we actually saw that these bands were about something greater than just metal music. It was not just rock and roll or something like this. And I think that we started developing that concept of morbid existentialism around 2009, that we must kill the existing self in order to progress into something greater. And by this I mean that by killing the rotten self, you need to sacrifice some of your standards. You need to leave your comfort zones, eradicate things that were so common to you by your upbringing, by your social values, etc., and try to move towards a more individualistic process and find a place where you're absolutely liberated. That was around 2009, where we probably discovered that through our music and through that medium we can also develop as persons. Before that point, it was probably, you know, paying homage to the elder black metal, death metal gods, or you know, trying to be as radical, as fanatical as possible. We are still radical and fanatical, but in a different manner, I guess.
And what is your process of like writing music or writing lyrics? What is your method?
There's always a starting point. There's always a starting point which is indescribable. I mean, every time when we are done with an album, there is that thought that there might not be another album. I mean, every album is like the last album. We think that we have reached our apex, so to say, but there's that itch. And there are always goals, newly set goals, and a newfound purpose. Year after year, you realize that you haven't reached your apex, and that you must strive more towards the much desired goal. There's nothing that can describe that the way that a new record is being born. I mean, music can come anywhere, and lyrics can also meet me and reach me anywhere. There's nothing that can describe it. There's not a calculated process. We are very visceral as persons. I mean, we are very, 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 visceral as persons. There's nothing calculated. There's no premeditated notions, so to say. There's not an agenda in our band. We always compose when we feel like composing, and I always like lyrics when I feel like writing lyrics. And there's always things to write about. I mean, yes, you are probably going to see some more stuff in the up-and-coming record, but there are also some changes coming. I mean, I've opened another chapter, so to say. So it's not like repeating myself, saying the same things over and over, but opening new chapters. And sometimes being more bitter, or sometimes being more aggressive, sometimes me being more distant, sometimes being colder. There are different, color tones in that palette.
What are the lyrics that you wrote that touched you the most?
One first track that touched me indefinitely was Nemesis of Impurity. It was it was a huge thing for me, and it was something, that shook my fundaments, so to say. So Nemesis of Impurity remains one of the most personal texts, and Hymn to Triumph and Treachery as well from 2009. Stuff like Darkness Impenetrable as well. Very, very deep, very profound song that describes my personal way of finding that much desired alchemical process, and meeting my personal paradise, which is darkness absolute, black void, neutrality, not being influenced by mundane morals, human thoughts. Those that can be described or have been described as shackles that don't let the individual progress. So Darkness Impenetrable, Nemesis of Impurity, Hymn to Triumph and Treachery, probably more. I mean, I love everything that I have written in terms of text. There's nothing that I'm not fond of. Everything has its purpose, everything is somehow important.
And how do you feel while performing that song on stage?
I feel the power of the music and the text. I feel I'm absolutely transformed into something else. I mean, it can be a wild experience. And it wouldn't have a person if it wasn't like this. I mean, if it wasn't, like a wild experience, or if it was like, performing music and singing crap and trivial stuff, it would be crap. It wouldn't bear any sort of purpose. I mean, if it didn't have that quality to transform you into something else, to make you feel someone else and to, yeah, it would be pointless.
What do you feel in the audience while performing?
Sometimes I feel that the audience perceives 100% what we're trying to say, what we're trying to achieve. Some other times it's just good old metallic fun, metallic mayhem. I mean, it varies. It varies. I don't expect that 100% of the audience is in dire need of transforming into someone else, or some people are there to have fun, and I understand that thing. But I have talked with people that have said to me that I felt this and I felt that, and I perceive this and I perceive that, and I've gotten this feeling out of your music and I've gotten that feeling out of your music, and sometimes they totally nail it in the head. I mean, they are 100% right in their estimates and in their views and in their thoughts of our music, about our music. And this is something that perplexes me, how something so personal can touch some other people who have nothing to do with me as a person. This is perplexing. I will never say that I expect other people to think the same way as I think.
Yeah. And,
It's just personal expression. I mean, my band, or our band, has always been a personal vehicle, a vehicle of self-relief, self-release, self-expression, and ascension.
And how did you start to perform live? Like, what called you on the stage?
Well, I guess, to be totally sincere, I mean, back in 2009, I mean, we have already performed twice back in 1999, I guess, with the older lineup, with the first lineup, but it wasn't like it is today. I mean, it was more like a school band, I guess, back in the day, 99. We were kids, pretty much. From 2009 and on, we set some goals, and we are trying to achieve them. First show was a big bet, so to say, because it was a huge festival in Germany, Nuclear War Now, Volume 1. It was our very first show with the new lineup, with the then new lineup, the Atonement Ritual and Praying for Absolution lineup, the Praying for Absolution lineup. So back in 2009, we didn't have, grandiose expectations or something like this, but we tried to become better and better and better, and to make people understand what we are about and to express our feelings properly. It's not always the case in the live setting. I mean, sometimes you're not able to. Sometimes, the stars aren't aligned, so you cannot do it always, but there are times that when you're able to absolutely, kick the floodgates and achieve your goals 100%.
What do you think, which concert and which live show was the closest to perfect for you?
Hilltown in Denmark was an absolute landmark for Embrace of Thorns. Some other shows like Barcelona. Today was a great show. Yeah, I mean, there are shows. I mean, there are at least 10 shows that I recall and I have fond memories of.
What kind of influence did every show have on the band? Like, how did it influence the process of creation?
The process of creation, in no way. I mean, live shows don't pretty much interact with creating new music, or don't disrupt or don't influence the creation of new music, or yeah, you get my point actually. But Yes, I mean, live shows can be really rewarding. Like, can be really rewarding and can pretty much, let us know that we are at the right path, so to say, in terms of a live presentation, and that we are heading towards darkness absolute, which is something that we want to achieve with our live shows, with both our live shows and our studio albums.
Yeah. So, you cannot really achieve absolute serenity and darkness when you are live on stage.
Live shows have a different purpose. I mean, there's that, that mythology of the metal gig or of the rock and roll gig and black metal cannot be totally disconnected, So in the end, it's a gig, and gig has other qualities. It can be a carrier of energies, it can be something magical, occasionally, but in the end of the day, it's mostly something that the majority of people will perceive as the ultimate rock and roll experience or metal experience, or
So why do you perform live if your main goal is to achieve this?
Because
darkness?
we are multifaceted persons, we are multifaceted beings, and there are those rewarding times which are very precious when we think and we feel that we have reached our goal, which is to make the audience feel what we are about. And sometimes we are able to, when all the conditions are ideal, when the stars are aligned, you get that rewarding feeling that there's something magical in the air.
So, on the personal level, what does this mean? This whole music, this whole thing that you are doing on a personal level, what does it mean to you?
It's our life. It's paramount for us. We have been in this thing for so long that it has, become one with us. It's nothing like, a weekend warrior thing or a pastime thing or a leisure thing. It's something that we've been doing for ages. 20 plus years as fans, almost 20 years as musicians. It's something that cannot be forsaken, cannot be, we cannot reverse the tides of history, so to say. I mean, it's something, it's carved in my DNA, pretty much, in our DNA, all of us. It's life. It's death cult, it's life code, it's death code, it's what we do.
Have you been in a situation where you felt that you probably won't be able to do this after, I don't know, something happened, or have you been this at a point where you have what would you be doing if you were denied doing this?
That would be a very, very, very sad condition for me, but if I was denied doing this, I don't see a way being denied doing this, but if I ever, figured out that I'm not fit, I'm not able, I'm not, suitable to do this any longer, I would probably step out and let other people do it. I mean, there's no way, there's no goal, there's no point going through the motions. If I was denied, as I said, I don't see a way how this could ever happen, but probably if I were losing my voice or being crippled or impaired, this would be a very, very sad state of affairs for me. But we'll keep on doing this as long as we feel, you know, the creative spark and the flame. The flame is never, is not going to be extinguished. It's not going to be extinguished.
Could you describe the process of creation, like not that when are you working? When are you creating?
Musically or lyrically?
Both.
Both. I've always had a workman-like approach with music. There are always, you know, there's always a starting point, a riff or a melody or something, and I get some vibes, or I get I'm getting something from that. I tend to get something from that riff or from that, you know, progression, and I'm getting the get-go sign that if the riff is good enough, or if the progression is good enough, then I feel that it's worth the effort. There are some times that, you know, music strikes you out of nowhere, and there are some other times when texts strike you out of nowhere. But most of the times, you know, the initial ideas, the initial musical ideas, and the riffs and the progressions, you know, need sometimes to grow and to mature and to reach the real potential. There's nothing, you know, really metaphysical in writing music, as far as I'm concerned. I just write music. Yeah. It happens. It happens.
Do you force yourself creating?
No. There's no way forcing yourself.
And
there's no point in forcing yourself.
Yeah.
Why should I do it? I'm not a multi-million selling artist or something. I mean, I'm doing this, or we are doing this predominantly for ourselves and only ourselves.
And are you happy?
Very much. Very
Thank
much.
you.
We are very content, and we are very proud of what we have achieved, and what we keep on achieving every day. We are, yeah, we actually are proud of what we have done so far, and we think that we have some good stuff, you know, lying, lurking in the dark, so to say.
So you're going to find it?
Yeah. Yeah. As far as we are concerned, I mean, there are no plans that, you know, tell us to stop or something like this. There's nothing like this.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.